Hello and welcome to the first episode of the In the Process podcast. My name is Roman Martinez, and today I want to discuss why I made this podcast, my process of making this podcast, and what I want it to be in the future. So, why I made this podcast? I made this podcast specifically because I wanted to interact with people and talk about their unique experiences that they've gone through while achieving their goals or their dreams, or even experiences that they're going at the moment while achieving their goals and dreams. And I want to talk about these topics specifically because I feel that we don't talk about the path that we take while accomplishing our goals. Rather, we talk about the goals itself, how important and significant that goal is, and we don't pay attention to the hurdles that we have to overcome, the difficulties that we have to go through to achieve those goals. And I felt that it was important to touch that topic. And personally, I wanted to learn more about those people. Anybody that wanted to have a voice and talk about their experiences, I wanted to learn about them, what they had to go through, what they learned, what those experiences taught them and changed them to become the person that they are today. So I believe that it was important to touch that subject specifically and put in a podcast so other people can learn from them, not only myself. So with me being the first one talking in this podcast, I'm going to talk about the process that it took me to make this show. So starting a podcast is not easy, especially if you're not comfortable enough to be on the microphone or a camera. So for me, my process was kind of difficult because that's the main objective of a podcast or a YouTube video. So the process that I had to take was basically start with the idea. And that idea that I had was, what am I good at? What do I like doing that I can put it in a podcast? And that is talking to other people about their experiences, talking about certain subjects. I love talking to people from different backgrounds. I just love hearing how passionate and sincere they are talking about themselves. And I grew with that idea and tried to incorporate it in the podcast. And being in quarantine at the moment, I personally was going through a tough patch of not knowing what to do. I had zero to none motivation on doing stuff. I struggled to do stuff, be productive is the word that I'm looking for. It was difficult to be productive. It was difficult to not be on my phone all day, not watching no movies. Actually learning was difficult. So the process and the mindset that I had was, what am I gonna learn from this podcast that can help me get out of this rough patch or slump, whatever you want to call it. So gears started turning and I came up with this. The best thing that we can do is talk about how other people got over their difficulties. And for me, I thought there was a plus because I would get to talk to these people and learn firsthand how they got through them. So that was the idea. The execution for me was getting everything set up, have a name for it, have a camera, microphone, what I was going to talk about. I had to do a lot of brainstorming, a lot of research. What was the best way of building a podcast? And with millions of podcasts at the moment out in Apple Music and Spotify, it wasn't so difficult to look for research, but it can be overwhelming because of all the podcast that there exists outside in the world. And I had to be selective of what I was looking for. The type of podcast that I wanted to create, the vision that I had, does it align with the research that I'm doing and the work that I'm doing? And something that I hadn't done a lot during quarantine was putting in work to stuff that I wanted to do. And that really showed me and brought my mindset into a different gear, instead of having a fixed mindset that I had before, not doing anything because I was scared of failing, scared of what was gonna be the result and what other people were gonna say. My fixed mindset started growing again and turning into a growth mindset with the hard work that I had to put in. The work as in what I'm gonna talk about, creating ideas, creating questions to people that I'm gonna talk to. What main ideas I wanted to have in this podcast, the main questions that I wanted to ask to everybody in general that I talk to. So it takes you into the zone, and if you've gone through a creative endeavor, once again, it puts you into the zone that you just start doing until you find something that you're comfortable with. And this is me right now. This is actually probably my take number 4. And with every different take, I learned something from the previous ones. How the way I talk, the way that I look on camera, what I have to do to be more engaging. It takes some time. So why am I talking about mindset so much with every example that I put here? Is because I learned recently throughout the years that mindset is a really big tool. And I call it a tool because we can learn and grow it. It's a big tool that we have to develop through different ways of actually getting out of your comfort zone, learning new things, actually trying to learn new things, and putting yourself out there so you can develop yourself more. The way that you grow your mindset is putting yourself in uncomfortable situations, and this is an uncomfortable situation that I am at the moment. And I talk about mindset with this podcast specifically because without the mindset that I had, everything that I've learned about mindset until right now would not make me wouldn't make me do the podcast that I'm doing right now. And so one thing that I want to deliver with this process that I'm talking right now is that mindset is really important. Mindset can really literally change your day if you know how to handle it, how to be aware of it. And you become aware of it by looking within, looking on how you react to certain scenarios. And for example, probably the worst that it can happen to us can be you have a big presentation and you drop coffee on your suit, on your clothes, ruins your whole image, takes you out. It takes you out of your vibe, ready to present to big executives. And having a negative mindset can probably ruin your whole day with that scenario in mind. Now, why is that? Because if you have a negative mindset on that specific scenario, you're going to think now everything's ruined. You're going to give most probably a bad presentation and you won't get that promotion that you're looking for. Now, having a positive mindset, knowing that, okay, it's just my clothes. What really is important in this presentation is not my image, it's what I deliver. And having that positive mindset can really, really change how you do things, how you see life, how you interact with the outside world, because you have to remember, not everything you cannot change everything on the outside. You can only affect and change and control. The key word here is control yourself and everything within. So that's the main thing that I want you to learn or think about with this first episode of the podcast. That mindset can really change your day, can change your life, can change how you view things, because having a growth mindset lets you adapt and lets you learn as much as possible from the outside world and everybody around you and become better than the version that you were before. And that's why it is called growth mindset. You're growing. You're not staying in the same spot as you were having a fixed mindset. And you grow by finding or getting into situations of discomfort. And for me, once again, creating this whole podcast, the process that it took me to actually get started and actually deliver a first episode right now, it only took me to have a good mindset about it and look at things with new eyes. That somebody out there is gonna listen to it, somebody out there is gonna learn something from it, and maybe appreciate it and share it with everybody that they know. And with that in mind, I wanna share this platform with everybody that listens to it. If you believe that you have a unique experience that you want to share with everybody, and that you believe that other people can learn from it, send me a message. I'll leave my contact info below. I'll leave it in somewhere on Spotify or on Apple Music, and reach out to me. Let me know what you want to talk about. Let me know about your experience and what you learned from it. Maybe some other people are going through the same thing that you went through, and letting them know what you learned can probably make them have a head start on life. So without any further ado, thank you for listening. If you learned something today, I'm really happy that you did.